Hi, I'm Lisa. Thanks for joining me today in this video. I hope you're already a subscriber to this channel, but if you're not, if you could subscribe, that would be fantastic. And then hit the little bell, which will make sure that you're notified of all my future videos. What I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to do a zero waste project. So I've got 1/2 metre of fabric and I'm going to make an apron out of it. So this fabric is from a company called the New Craft House. They're based in London and they buy designer surplus stock, well, designer dead stock actually. So what that means is they buy, first of all, they buy the fabric directly from the designers. And secondly, the fabric that they buy is leftover fabric that would have been destined for landfill or in some cases incineration. So they're saving the fabrics from landfill really. So they're a fantastic company. So take a look at their website. I've left the links down below and yeah, really great philosophy. Okay, so let's get started with the project. I'm going to cut 4 strips which are 6 centimetres, which is 2 3/8 of an inch, and they are going to be my straps. I'll cut one in half and attach it to the other 2, and then one will be for the neck strap. So with the remaining fabric, I'm going to use this to make the skirt and then the top and the pockets. So I'm going to cut off 35 centimetres, which is 13 3/4 inches, to create the bib section and the pockets at the bottom. Then I'm going to cut 30 centimetres or 11 3/4 inches down, and that section is going to be the bib. So I'm going to use my rotary cutter for this, which I don't normally. I normally use scissors, but sometimes I like to use the rotary cutter. I've got to say that this fabric is absolutely beautiful. It is like cutting through butter. It's a really beautiful fabric that I'm using. Okay, so I've got the bib and then the piece for the pockets now, all ready to go. Onto the straps. I've got the 4 straps, and what I need to do is one is for the neck and the other 3 are going to make the 2 waist ties. So one of the pieces I need to cut in half, and then each of those halves are going to be attached to the other 2 pieces. This is so that I can lengthen and have a nice long strap. In an ideal world, this wouldn't happen, but I'm working with 1/2 metre of fabric and working with what I've got. So I will cut this in half and then attach it to each of the other pieces. So they're attached now. So the wrong side is facing up here. So I'll put the wrong sides together and iron them in half all the way down. And then the edges will both be turned under by 1 centimetre, 3/8 of an inch, all the way down. And that's going to be top stitched to keep that in place. What I need to do is make sure that one of the ends is turned under. So this is the end that will be on show. I'm just turning it under by 1 centimetre and another centimetre so that it's got a nice neat finish, and that'll be the ends of the tie that you see. And I've now got the smaller strap, and I'm going to do exactly the same process to the smaller strap as well. And this one is going to be the one that goes around the neck. Right, so I have sewn these 3. So these are the 2 ties for the waist. You can see here that the ends are finished nicely. They feel really lovely actually. They'll be plenty long enough. And then this is the neck piece that's going to go around the neck, and they're unfinished because they're going to go inside. So now that those are done, I'm going to go on to the pockets. This is the one piece that I had left for the pocket, and what I've done is I've just cut it in half so that I can have 2 pockets. And after much deliberation, I have decided that it will look better if the pockets sit across the fabric. So what I mean by that is this is going to be the skirt with the stripes running vertically, and I'm going to have the pockets sitting horizontally that way, so they purposefully look like they don't match. And I think that it would be better to just shave off a little bit of this fabric, otherwise they look out of proportion. So I'm just going to shave off well, not shave off, I'm going to cut off 4 centimetres. I'm going to cut 4 centimetres off there. God, it's like cutting butter, cutting this fabric, it's beautiful. Same on here. So that's all that I'm going to waste. That's literally my waste from this. It's tiny. So I will do a double seam all the way around. Right, there's various ways to attach pockets, but what I'm going to do on this occasion is I'm just going to do a line of top stitching right on the very edge of the pocket, just so that I know that all of the sides are kept, seams are kept in place. And then when I sew that on, I'll just do an outside line there on those 3 edges. So what I will also do is I'm going to do another line of top stitching there on the top edge of the pocket, so that essentially when you look at the pocket, you'll see 2 lines of stitching all the way around, and I think that that will look nice. So I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine and do that on both of them. So both of the pockets are sewn now, they're looking nice, and they are going to be ready to be placed on the skirt. So the next stage is to decide where to actually place them on the skirt. Right, so I've laid this skirt out, and I'm mindful of the fact that this is going to be gathered, so the position of these pockets will actually move further in once it's gathered up and it moves. So what I've done is I've found the centre point of the apron and just put a pin in there, and just by eye I have decided that it's going to be sort of 10 centimetres, which is roughly 4 inches either side of the middle, and then 18 centimetres down, which is just over sort of 7¼ inches. So I think they are looking very nice. What I will do is pin these in place, because what I don't want them to do is move. I wanted to put them in place before I did the gathering, because I think it will be more difficult to position them once the gathering is in place. It just, you know, it just makes it easier to do when you're working on a nice flat surface. Right, so if I take that to the sewing machine, and then I'm going to sew it right on the outside edge there, and then I'll go across, over and over those stitches, just to make sure that it's really solid, because that's where all the stress will be when you're putting your hands in. Pockets are on now, and they are looking really nice, really happy with those. So the next stage is to create the seams, the edges. So on both of the side seams and on the bottom, what I'm going to do is literally just do a double fold over seam. So fold over once, sort of centimetre, 3/8 inch, and again, and then pin in place. And I'm going to do that all the way around. Now that I've done the body, the skirt, I need to do the bib. What I'm going to do is make a seam on all three sides, not this bottom side. So this bottom side is what's going to attach to the skirt. So that's going to be left as it is for the time being. So I'll turn a double hem, same as I have on all the other sides. Pin that in place all the way around. And so, can't pick it up. And now I'm going to position the necktie. So I want the edge that's the soft edge on the inside, and I'm going to make sure that it doesn't twist. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to position it slightly in, because if I positioned it on the outside, it would be way too wide. I don't think it would look right. So I'm just going to position it slightly in, just a couple of centimetres, about 3 centimetres in from the edge. And what I want to do is I want to give it a sort of a bit of a distance, sort of about that much, it's about 2 centimetres folded under. And I want to put that there like that. And I'm going to attach that there. And so what that's going to allow me to do is do like a square and then a cross in the middle, so that it's got quite it's quite strong and sturdy, because I don't want it to be pulled off. So you can see that they are both added on there now, and that is really, really strong. Right, now this next stage, I've sort of changed what I was going to do. So what I need to do is this needs to be gathered, and then it needs to be attached to the top bib. So my intention was to do gathering stitches all the way along here, and then gather it up, turn it over twice and attach it to the bib. However, that has not worked, because when I did it, so I did the gathering stitch, it was just much too difficult to turn it over. I couldn't manage to do it, so I'm going to do something different. I would, under normal circumstances, I would possibly make this a little bit differently, but I'm using this 1/2 metre, and that's all I've got. So part of the challenge of this is to get it all made using the 1/2 metre. So at the moment, the only wastage that I've had from the entire 1/2 metre of fabric are these 2 pieces. Everything else has been used, so I'm actually really quite pleased about that. But obviously it does mean that it's got its limitations to making it. So what I've decided that I'm going to have to do for the top is I'm going to create a channel. So I'm going to turn over sort of just under 1 centimetre, just under 3/8 of an inch, and then I'm going to do a turning of about 2 centimetres, or about 3/4 of an inch, and pin that all the way down. And then what I'll do is I'll send a piece of elastic through there, and I will then, my plan is then to do a couple of stitches here and here and here, and then obviously have it secured at the end and gather it that way. And then what I think is that it will be easier to attach it to the bib. Right, I decided that the width of this was going to be, the finished gathered width was going to be 40 centimetres. So what I've done is I've got my piece of elastic, and it's just like a really simple small piece. I've put here safety pin, just put a safety pin in one end. I've measured this piece of elastic to be 42 centimetres. So I've just given myself like 1.5 centimetres either side. And the intention is that that will just sit flat like that with the gathering all around it. So I am going to thread it through. threaded through now, and I am simply, you can see there, I'm simply going to do a line of stitch in there and a line of stitch in there, backwards and forwards, to secure that elastic. So that's the next step. And then the way that I'm going to make sure that it stays evenly gathered, although I don't think it should be a problem, but just to make sure, is put these ends together and then pull it tight. And then there, I'm going to do a pin and just sew there, backwards and forwards. And then I'm going to do the same quarter way, so like that, finger there, and then the same for that last quarter. I mean, I probably don't need to necessarily do this, but it's just so that it sits nicely gathered. I do need to do one more thing to finish off this bib to make it ready to attach to the skirt, which I haven't done before, which is just turn this seam under. So I've turned it under twice, so a centimetre and a centimetre, or just under 3/8 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch. And I'm just going to give that a line of stitching, and then I will be ready to attach it onto the skirt. Right, I've come to the time now to attach the skirt to the bib. So to match it up, what I've done is I've put a pin halfway across the bib, and I already know where the middle point is here on the skirt because I've already done this little row of stitching, look. So I'm going to match those 2 points, and I'm going to make sure that I put this channel about 1/2 centimetre away from the edge so that I know that it will sit nicely. So I'll put my first pin in there, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for the other mark. Look, that was the quarter point and the other quarter point, because I'm going to use those to check that it's going to be level. Right, they are now attached, and that looks really nice. I'm really happy with that. So you can see that looks nice. So the very, very last thing is to attach these side straps. Now, one end is already neatened off, but I left the other end raw, and I was going to put it inside the seam, but then I decided not to because I didn't think it would leave me enough room to maneuver. So what I am going to do is I'm going to turn it over like that. I'm going to sit it on the top there, and then I am simply going to do the same as I did before. I'm going to do the square with a cross in the middle to make it really, really secure. Right, so it's finished, and I've got to say I am really thrilled with this. I'm really, really happy with it. I think it looks beautiful. I'm going to send that to my daughter, and she's living in London at the moment, so I'm going to wait until she receives it to get her to video it so that it can go on the end of this video so you can see what it looks like on. So here's a video of Grace wearing the apron, and thank you so much for watching the video. I will see you in one of my next videos. Take care, bye.